Power-funded, children-detained America is being asked, once again, to look away. While headlines move fast and outrage cycles burn out even faster, something serious is happening in plain sight. Immigration enforcement is expanding, detention is growing. And children are still being held behind fences and locked doors, this time with bipartisan votes helping keep the money flowing. This is not about party loyalty. This is about power, accountability, and the human cost of policy decisions made far from the lives they destroy. Let's slow this down and explain what is actually happening, in plain language without spin. How we got here. Immigration and Customs Enforcement, known as ICE, was created as a law enforcement agency. Over time, it has grown into a massive enforcement machine with broad authority, limited oversight, and a budget that continues to increase, even as evidence mounts of systemic harm. Funding for ICE does not magically appear. Congress approves it. That means every expansion, every detention bed, every contract with private facilities exists because lawmakers vote to allow it. And yes, that includes votes from both parties. This matters because the public is often told one story while another unfolds behind closed doors. People are promised reform, compassion, and restraint, while the machinery of detention quietly gets stronger. What more funding really means when ICE receives more money, it does not go to community support or legal aid. It goes to more detention space, more enforcement operations, more contracts with private detention companies, more children and families held for longer periods. This is not theory. This is how the system is built. Children are not detained because of chaos. They are detained because the system is funded to detain them. Facilities do not expand by accident. They expand by design. And when lawmakers approve that funding, they are approving the outcomes that follow. The reality inside detention is often described with soft language. Processing centers, holding facilities, temporary care. The reality is harsher. Children are separated from stability, education, and medical care. Families live with constant fear. Time stretches endlessly with no clear answers, no certainty, and limited legal support. This does not make communities safer. It makes trauma permanent. A nation that claims to value family, faith, and freedom cannot justify a system that treats children as collateral damage. Why language matters when people compare ICE tactics to authoritarian policing, it is not done lightly. It reflects patterns: aggressive raids, limited transparency, broad discretionary power, minimal consequences for abuse. History teaches us that when enforcement agencies grow without accountability, human rights shrink. That lesson is not partisan. It is universal. Calling this out is not extreme. Ignoring it is. The bipartisan problem no one wants to own. It is easy to blame one political figure. It is harder, but necessary, to confront a system upheld by silence and compromise. When Democratic lawmakers vote for increased enforcement funding without meaningful protections, they normalize harm while claiming moral distance from it. You cannot condemn cruelty while financing it. Fairness demands we say this clearly. Responsibility belongs to everyone who enables the system, not just the loudest face attached to it. This is about democracy. A functioning democracy does not operate in the shadows. It does not outsource cruelty and call it order. It does not demand public trust while hiding human suffering behind budgets and bureaucracy. Democracy requires transparency, accountability, the courage to say no when systems cause harm. If we lose the ability to defend the most vulnerable, we lose the moral foundation of freedom itself. The question we must answer: what kind of country do we want to be? One that measures success by enforcement numbers and detention beds, or one that measures it by justice, dignity, and the protection of children? This is not about open borders versus closed borders. It is about humane policy versus institutional cruelty. Law can exist without dehumanization. Security can exist without cages, but only if people demand it. Final word: silence is permission, funding is endorsement, and pretending not to know is no longer an option. This moment demands clarity, courage, and unity, not blind loyalty, not fear, and not distraction. Enough is enough. There comes a moment in every democracy when people stop whispering and start speaking plainly. This is that moment. Millions of Americans are exhausted, not from politics as a game, but from politics as survival. Families are stretched thin. Rent is overdue. Grocery prices climb while wages stand still. Parents lie awake at night doing math that never works. And in the middle of all this, they watch leaders argue, delay, excuse, and fund the very systems that are causing harm. People are not angry because they want chaos. They are angry because they want dignity. The breaking point no one wants to admit when those who claim to represent working people continue to fund enforcement agencies that tear families apart, something breaks. When accountability is promised but never delivered, trust erodes. When wrongdoing is acknowledged quietly but never confronted publicly, people stop believing change is possible. This is not about slogans. It is about consequences. If elected officials approve funding that expands detention, strengthens punitive systems, and prolongs suffering, then the suffering is no longer accidental. It becomes policy. And when that happens, silence is no longer neutral. Hunger, housing, and the reality on the ground, this country is not struggling because people are lazy. It is struggling because priorities are upside down. People are working full-time and still can't afford rent. Parents skip meals so their children can eat. Medical bills compete with electricity bills. Sleep is lost to stress, not irresponsibility. Yet year after year, billions flow easily to enforcement, surveillance, and punishment, while basic human needs are treated as bargaining chips. That disconnect is not theoretical. It is lived every single day. Accountability is not optional in a democracy. Accountability is not revenge. It is responsibility. When leaders avoid hard decisions because they fear political backlash, they are not being pragmatic. They are being negligent. When wrongdoing is minimized for the sake of moving on, the message is clear. Power protects itself. People notice this. They feel it. And eventually, they stop waiting. Standing with the public means more than press statements. It means action when action is uncomfortable. It means choosing people over political convenience. Loyalty to people comes first. No party, no institution, no individual deserves loyalty over human lives. When voters say, "Stand with us or lose us," they are not being dramatic. They are drawing a line. Representation is a contract. When that contract is broken repeatedly, people look for exits, emotional, political, and sometimes physical. That is not extremism. That is the consequence of abandonment. Courage is the job. Leadership is not about staying safe. It is about standing firm. History does not remember who stayed quiet. It remembers who spoke when it mattered. It remembers who protected power and who challenged it. This moment requires courage, not calculations. It requires leaders willing to say, enough suffering, enough excuses, enough delay. Because when people are hungry, scared, and unheard, the system is already failing. A clear choice. The message from the public is not complicated. Stand with working families, defend human dignity, protect children, hold power accountable. Or accept that people will walk away from trust, from institutions, and from a system that no longer sees them. Democracy does not survive on speeches. It survives on action. Final word. People are not asking for miracles. They are asking for fairness. They are asking for honesty. They are asking to live, and they are done begging. We seriously had enough. You want to keep helping Trump while you tell us to stand against the Gestapo and the abuse. Pick a side now, because we will leave America and democracy will be done. By helping Trump, you are betraying us and democracy. We are done with the bullshit. If you also support democracy and freedom, feel free to join me in this fight. Click follow, click subscribe and join me. Divided we fall, and together we can knock down mountains. Through unity is the only way we can make a change. Thank you, stay safe, God bless. I love you all. Crowning Thoughts. True Speaker. Copyright 2025 by Santiago D.C. Maria. Licensed under Creative Commons Attribution.